Peace, peace, peace. I just pressed record and it is 111. Coming at you live with another sleepy-ish video. I feel like when I am not doing something that I'm feeling like I should be doing, I'm being of disservice to myself. And when I'm being a disservice to myself, I'm being a disservice to others. And so even if there's one person who resonates and feels something powerful move through them through coming across this video, then that for me is absolutely everything. And that's why I do this. So I want to express whatever comes that's meant to be shared into words and pass through energy of just a few things that I've been thinking about, that I think about often actually, and that's having to do with a lot of reflection with relationships and relationships of different kinds. I'm not just talking about relationships romantically, but even relationships with people who I have relationships with in my life. And I like to reflect on these different relationships that I have or have had, because the ones that are closest to us, the ones that come close into our heart, are the ones who can help us learn more about ourselves, who can help us remember different aspects of who we really are. And I say that without mixing good or bad into it, because I can think of these romantic relationships that I've had where even if they were filled with heartbreak and things that were very difficult to have to heal from, they still were a really huge part of me coming more into myself, and also picking out weeds or picking out things within the garden of me, within my garden of who I am, that I realized that I didn't want in my garden. And these romantic relationships have helped me, even if they were filled with a lot of heartbreak, they helped me, and filled with so much beauty too. They help me see all these different aspects of myself. They help me 3, 4, 5 be able to move up in a different sense within myself. Even if at some point it brought me back down to in different ways within myself. Because just like a bow and arrow, sometimes, all the time with a bow and arrow, you need to pull the arrow back in order to launch it further. And the further you pull it back, and depending on what kind of angle, of course, is going to depend on how far it's going to launch forward. And so, even if I've had these romantic relationships where I had to take steps backwards, it was only because I was meant to take those steps backwards to be able to launch myself forward into being who I know I am meant to be. even in romantic relationships, 4, 5, 6, in elevated ways, conscious ways, loving consciously, and being able to love consciously out of consciously having that self-love within myself. The pattern of my voice every time I press play on videos always wants to go away. It's funny. 534. Yeah, I find it so beautiful when I take these moments of reflections with different relationships that I have in my life or have had in my life, and all the beauty that it brought me, even through all the heartbreaks, even through all of the difficult lessons that they may have brought into my life. I'm so grateful for every single one of those lessons because they've pieced me together. They've helped me piece myself back together into who I can be proud of being. I know there's like so many different things that I have and I do reflect on. Maybe sometimes a little too much. I could reflect on these things about how I've acted, how I've been, things that I chose in the past or within these relationships that weren't reflecting someone that I would be proud to be. Like if I were to step outside of my body and just kind of like I'm thinking of Click right now when I think so much about this movie because I know it carries so much significance. Ever since I saw that movie Click, it really just clicked into so much of my life. And so like the image that I'm getting is like one of those scenes where he's there replaying one of these scenes of him watching himself and how he's acting. He's standing outside of his body and seeing this character that is filled with these choices he's making and just not feeling proud of those choices. And I know that when I'm reflecting, it's like that's literally what goes on in my mind. I go back in through this remote in my mind, and I review these scenes, seeing myself and what I said, what I did, how I acted, how I may have not acted. There's all these choices. And there are many moments that I am not proud of to see myself have acted, to rewind these scenes and just see these choices that I've made in these relationships or even things, acquaintances or strangers. And it is not a good feeling at all to see your character and not be proud of those choices that you've made. Because what hurts the most about those choices when you make choices that are not aligned with who you truly are, what hurts the most is seeing how much you hurt the other person, which hurts you. When I reflect on these scenes of these choices that I've made, when I'm not acting out of love, when I'm not coming from a place of being gentle and being compassionate and having empathy, those have been really big areas for growth with me. I'll be the first one to admit it with my own self. It's how much I know that I hurt the other individual that hurts me the most about those choices that I have made. And when I reflect back to these moments, it's those moments that really help guide me to make more aligned choices next time I have an opportunity to come back to a scene that is maybe slightly different with a new character, 1144, but at the same time a new opportunity to now recreate that scene in a way that I will feel proud of when I ever rewind to that scene in my mind one day. I look back to a lot of scenes in my life and I ask myself if I'm proud of that choice that I made, and I can stand tall in saying that I came from a place of love. And if I didn't, then I know that I'm going to receive an opportunity to recreate that scene and align myself with remembering who I am so that I can make that choice out of love, out of gentleness, out of compassion and empathy, and out of love for my own self. Because I really cannot say it enough about how when you are hurting something or someone outside of you, you are hurting yourself so much more than you can ever realize. It doesn't matter if you're conscious of it in that moment or not, but deep down inside, we all know. We all somewhere know within us that when we are hurting something outside of us, we are going to someday at some point have to acknowledge and face the fact that we were hurting ourselves so much more than we could ever have realized. Excuse me. So, all these relationships that we have with these other characters in our life, they're all here serving a purpose. They're all here teaching us, guiding us to remember who we are, even if that person is unkind to us. They're giving us an opportunity to see if we are going to be kind regardless of anything else outside of us, of anyone else's choice outside of us. 1441. Because it takes so much more for us to be kind without conditions. It takes so much more to be kind to someone who's not been kind to you. And it's so much more powerful. That's why it takes so much more for you to do it, because it holds so much more power than for you to choose to reflect back the same exact energy that they're giving you that is not aligned with your truth. I talked about this in another one of my videos. We're not meant to be out here matching energy. Allow things to rise to meet you where you are. Don't lower your energy to be unkind to someone because they're being unkind to you and to try to prove them a lesson or show them a lesson or prove a point or whatever it is. You're only harming yourself. It's like having two phones. Hopefully this makes sense. I'm just picturing batteries where why would you, if somebody has 50% and you have 80%, why would you lower your battery to be at 50% with them? Because now all you did is just drain your energy, and for what? What point could you have proven by meeting them at their energy level of where they were, as opposed to you just staying at the 80% of where you already were at? Because now when that battery was at 50%, runs out of battery and shuts off, now you still have battery to be able to give power to whatever is needed. Like that's like just to kind of explain, because I feel like I might have lost you there. If you have a battery in a phone and this other phone battery just turned off and shut off, then you have a phone that still has battery to be able to make whatever calls and search whatever it is that you need to search. Might have not been the best example, but I think it proves its point. There's no reason for us to drain our battery or drain our energy for anything. Allow things to rise to meet you at the energy where you are, where you're aligned with your truth. And I'm just sharing a gentle reminder that every single character in our life can teach us so much. We're all teachers, we're all students. This huge universe is just it's a huge school. I made a shirt one time that had University of Earth, because that's literally what it is. This whole life is a huge school. And every single thing is here to teach us, to re-teach us, to help us remember who we are. And all of the close relationships that we have with others can teach us so much about ourselves. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. Those toxic relationships can teach you so much about yourself and teach you and show you and reflect to you how much self-love you're carrying within you. And those that we attract to ourselves and have as close relationships in our lives are a reflection of how much self-love and how aligned and in tune we are with the vibration of who we truly are. Everything can show us so much. And the way that you choose to react or respond in these relationships that you have or have had in your life are showing you what is going on inside. Whenever I react and just reactive, 2034, it's showing me that something is in balance, that I'm not at peace with something inside. It's reflecting to me what's going on in here when I'm responding in peace and calmness, in kindness. It's reflecting to me, it's showing me what's going on in here, and the peace and the kindness that I'm having, and the gentleness within myself. So I remind you to make sure that you are making conscious choices with what it is, with who it is that you're being. To make sure, for your own sake, for your own sanity, for your own peace of mind and heart, that whatever choices you're making, that you're going to be proud to go back and look at those scenes, that you're going to be proud of yourself. Just like in the movie Click, where you're not going to be making those choices to not be acting out of love for yourself and for others, not being present with yourself and with others, not living in the present moment with yourself and with others, appreciating the gift of just simply being, appreciating the gift of receiving connections with others and being able to share this human experience with others. Make sure that whatever choices it is that you're making these choices consciously to be something that you're proud of. So, I leave you with this little message. And I trust that whatever it is that you receive from it is what was meant for you in this moment. And I trust and I believe that whatever choices you are making choices that you are proud of to make. That if you ever go back into that scene, these different scenes of your life, you look back and you reflect on how proud you are of those choices that you made. It doesn't feel good at all. It doesn't feel good at all to make these choices that are not out of love. So let's turn the cycle and let's start a new one. Where we really truly are proud of living in our true selves. Living connected to our true selves. And making those choices out of love.